Good morning, and thank you for inviting me to speak in this event. And excuse me for not being here to attend your meeting in Brussels. In the global level, the European economy has problems of competitiveness and sustainability. In both cases, the European railway sector could provide a better solution and response. In 2010, European economy has started to recover, but it has happened only in the center and in the north of Europe. There is a real risk of economic divergence between the northern and the Mediterranean countries, which still remain in recession. In the Mediterranean countries, a really opened internal market in the rail sector will bring efficiency and competitiveness, not only to these countries, but also to the European economy as a whole. The European railway sector could also provide another added value, reducing congestion in the European highways by moving containers from trucks to trains. This goes in the direction of the European Commission ambitious environmental objectives. At the European level, we have to address some persistent problems for the development of the railway sector. Firstly, the lack of an effective regulatory oversight in many member states that keeps on going many unjustified barriers to competition. Secondly, the inadequate financing and pricing of infrastructure. The opening of the market in Europe hasn't happened or hasn't reached a satisfactory level. In some member states, the situation is worse than in others. Since 2000, it is observed that, in terms of rail freights market share, it has decreased in the countries where the market is more closed. This is the case of Spain, in which only 4% of total transport is done by train, and it is decreasing day by day in the opposite direction of the EU Strategy 2020. And in Spain, you can count with the fingers of one hand the number of rail operators. A strong independent regulator is the key to achieve a successful market opening, allowing competition to achieve freight traffic's growth. We need to complete an effective opening of the market, an efficient liberalized rail market. We need to remove both physical and regulatory tricky barriers to competition, for example, safety excuse for not entering the market. We need to stop discriminatory and non-transparent practices in the rail market, for example, access to slots and facility for maintenance. And we need to ensure that member states create and implement effective independent national regulatory bodies with proper and sufficient resources, staff and budget. These independent national regulatory bodies should have already been in place in all member states, but it is not the case. This is why I would call for a European level of supervision to be created in order to act only if national independent bodies are not put in place and don't do their job effectively. We can discuss the way to better achieve this. We could reinforce and extend the powers and competences of the European Rail Agency. We could create a specific unit in DJ competition, or we could create a specific European Rail Supervision Authority, like we have recently done in the Parliament in the European Financial Supervision with the creation of the European Banking Authority. We can also talk about unbundling in the railway market. However, putting unbundling on the table should not shift the focus of our discussions away from the real solutions that Europe needs in the short term, a real openness and a completed internal market in the railway sector in all the European countries. As a liberal Mediterranean MEP, and now with my party ruling the Catalan government, the freight transport is one of our priorities. We want to connect Catalan ports to the European markets through a rail freight corridor. This would mean that Mediterranean ports could play a role of European gateway, not acting only as local ports serving only the local hinterlands. We Europeans have to take into account that the Mediterranean Sea has become, in last years, as important as the Pacific Ocean in containers traffic. We Europeans, finally, need a real change in the national member states' behaviors. This is an European interest. all European operators should be able to compete and access new markets for growth. Thank you very much for your attention.